Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan AGAJANIan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are actor Roxanne Hart and actor-performer Timur Bekbosunov, who's also a very, very fine tenor. Actress Roxanne Hart, the oldest of 5 children, was born in New Jersey and raised in the several states until her family settled in Chappaqua, New York. She went to Skidmore, Princeton, and NYU, but somehow never finished the academic programs because I think you were more interested in performing than sitting in a classroom. You've seen her on and off Broadway, in films, and lots of TV shows. She married Philip Kasnoff, and they've raised 2 fantastic artistic boys. What are your kids doing?
Well, my oldest son is in a band called Dawes that Rolling Stone said was one of the best bands, the new bands of this past year.
Was he always musical?
Yes, he was always musical.
And are you or your husband?
I'm not, my husband is.
Oh,
my
okay.
husband is incredibly musical.
So he has some genes.
Yes, he does, he does. And my younger son, my older son's name is Alex, my younger son's name is Macklin, and he is a line chef at Providence.
How could he be a line chef? Isn't he too young?
He is too young, but he's determined. He went over when he was actually 16. He rode his bike over there and told the chef that he wanted to work in the kitchen, so they, let him work one day a week on Sundays.
Isn't that is that fantastic?
But he's been studying cooking for quite some time.
Where does he go to school?
He goes to Oakwood.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
So he has that kind of I can do anything attitude.
Absolutely.
Because you would the enabling school, right?
Or encouraging.
Or encouraging, enabling. I think that's great. They're really good too. I think Oakwood. They do that big Sunday where they go and they go to charities,
right?
And they give their time.
Yes.
One of the fathers started
David
that.
Levinson. Yes, he started that. Yes.
David started that. He spoke at Pilgrim School's graduation.
Oh.
And he was very inspiring to that graduating class because they also do a lot of community service.
Uh-huh.
So here's your kid on his own, going to do his own community service.
Well, I think he's actually the community service to the very wealthy, actually. Providence is rather
a high restaurant.
high
star.
clientele.
Let's say high star. Let's get back to you now. We've talked about your family. You were from 5 kids, and were they all wanting to be actors?
No, I'm the only one in the family who ended up in this business, so I'm viewed as something of an odd duck, actually.
But that was good because you were actually moving all around the country because your father was teaching English?
He was a biology teacher, and he was studying at different universities in order to get graduate degrees so he could up his salary. I think when we were living in New Jersey, he was making the astronomical salary of $5,000 a year as a biology teacher. So, yeah, that's the public school system's a long time ago. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But how did he move 5 kids around? I kept thinking when you said you lived in Georgia.
He had a very doting wife who and
that's what it
grandparents.
takes.
Yes,
That's
she
what it
was
takes.
very,
So you kind of learned from what they did, I think, with your calm demeanor. You seem like you're very calm and you can handle all
meditate.
this.
I just recently started meditating
Did
in
you?
the past 2 years.
So
yes.
it makes a difference, I guess.
It makes an extraordinary difference, I think.
And did it make a difference when you were in Salome with Al Pacino?
Well, I think a sense of humor was really needed in that.
More important?
Was more important, but calm was good, yes.
You were on Broadway with Salome. Did you do it here too?
No, I was not on Broadway with Salome. I did it here with Al.
I saw it here. It was
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
It was mesmerizing,
Yes,
actually,
yes.
to just watch You know, it was in a big house too.
Right. It was at the Veterans,
Yes,
the Wadsworth.
which was a big house. I
Right.
thought.
Huge.
I would think that it
We
would
referred
be,
to it fondly as a barn.
Did you? Yeah,
Yeah.
because I would think that play needed something really intimate.
Right.
So you didn't go to New York with it.
Well, they did it in New York prior to this. They did it at Pace College, and then they moved it to Broadway. It was originally started at the Actors Studio.
And did they do a film of that?
Yes, he made a film, and I'm in the film. I
Oh,
play
you're in the
Herodotus
film
in the film.
too.
Yes, he directed the film.
So he loves that character.
He
doesn't
loves that character. He loves that play. He's done that play about 20 times.
And had you done it before?
Never.
How did you get cast?
They called me, and I went in and met him and read with him, and I got the part.
That was it.
That was it.
You've worked, talking about Pacino, you've worked with really great supporting opposite great men, Victor Garber, Frank Langella, Kevin Kline, all different projects, obviously.
Yes.
And what were they?
Well, Victor was The Devil's Disciple, a Shaw play, and Frank Langella was Passion, a Peter Nichols play, and Kevin Kline was Loose Ends, a Michael Weller play.
Were they all different to
Yes,
work with?
very different. Very different. Oh, were the people, the actors? Yes, they're all different.
Well,
different.
the plays were all different.
And the plays were very different, yes. But they were a wide age range. Frank was older, and Victor was more of a contemporary, as was Kevin. So, I was very young when it was really my first starring role on Broadway.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How did you get? Where were you studying? You were studying with Michael?
I was studying at NYU, and then I left, and I got my first job where I got my equity card in Shakespeare in the Park. And then I realized I still needed to study, because even though I left school halfway, and I found Michael Howard, who was is a brilliant acting teacher.
And that's where your husband was taking classes,
And that's
too.
where he was taking classes.
But because you were with Michael Howard, do you think that opened the doors? People knew how he taught and what the quality of his actors would be, or his students would be?
I don't know about that. I just know that New York at that time, when I was there, was a fairly small pot. And when you get out and you do good auditions, all the casting people would talk amongst themselves.
They know.
And they knew each other, and they would recommend people to each other, and you just kind of got work that way.
And then you did a lot of off-Broadway, and then a
Yes.
lot of award-winning shows, Lips Together.
Teeth Apart, yes.
And where was that?
That was at the Manhattan Theater Club.
I saw that there. I remember that. It
Yeah.
was like, it played all over this country after
Right,
that,
right,
right? But I
yes,
remember seeing
yes,
it there.
yes.
And it was so great.
Yes.
It was kind of provocative. It's the beginning of theater changing a little bit, it seemed to me.
Well, it was it really dealt in a very comedic way, but darkly moving way with AIDS, although no one with AIDS was actually on stage. It was all referenced.
Talking about it,
Yes.
And Digby?
And Digby was a wonderful play that I did at the Manhattan Theater Club as well.
That's such a great venue, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so now, what brought you to LA after you were doing all this fantastic work in New York?
Well, I kept getting flown out for television movies and different projects, TV projects, as did my husband, who was doing, who did Sinatra, played Sinatra in the miniseries Sinatra. And I was pregnant with our second child, and I sat bolt upright in bed one night and said, I can't do to my kids what happened to me, because I was very lonely as a child. I mean, my parents were great parents, but just being uprooted all the time was very disconcerting, so I wanted to give them one place. So we decided to look at the two different places, and we put my older son through the hellacious process of applying to schools both in New York and in Los Angeles, and we decided on the school.
That's what brought you?
Well,
Oakwood
yeah,
brought you in a way?
sort of. We decided we would so we
But you
ended
had
up
a lot of schools in New York.
We had a lot of schools in New York, and we got into a lot of schools, but we decided that Oakwood was the best fit for us. And I don't know, I guess we thought we'd give LA a try. So we moved here. We moved, and then we had a co-op in New York, and eventually we had to sell that, and so we bought out here.
So you stayed, and you rooted your kids here, and
Right,
they did very well.
They did very well.
But they seem like New York kind of kids.
They are New York kind of kids. My oldest son went to NYU.
Did he?
Yes.
But I don't know, just from the way you talk about them and the way they're raised, they seem like they have that New York mentality.
Well, my older son does. My younger son is more of an LA kid, though.
But
he's a surfer, big surfer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But so let's get to Four Places at the Rogue Machine before we have to leave, because we could be talking all afternoon. Tell us about the play.
Well, I saw a reading of the play at our theater, and I just fell in love with it and felt like it was really in the zeitgeist. And it's about adult children having to take care of their failing parents.
Right.
And in this case, there are a lot of other extenuating circumstances. There's alcoholism, but it's about all the choices that you have to make and whether or not you're interfering too much, or how much can you let them go, what do you have to do with them. It's very moving, but it's also very, very, very funny.
It is funny?
Very
it's hard
funny.
to think that could be funny.
Very funny, very darkly humorous. Very
Who wrote
funny.
it?
Joel Drake Johnson.
And who's directing?
Robin Larson.
And you've told us a little bit about the story and the casting. And
Angie
the
Bird plays my mother. Tim Bagley plays my brother. And Lisa Rothschilder plays a waitress in the restaurant that we're in.
And your role is Ellen.
As the daughter, yes.
And what do you come up against? You have your husband to deal with. You have your mother and father to deal with.
My husband has passed away.
Well,
That's a plot point. So I am by myself. And my brother's wife has left him. They're divorced.
Oh, so you guys
So
are
we're
left
both alone and
nervous.
and very nervous. And we take our mother out to lunch to talk to her about all the stuff that we've heard is going on in the house by the caretaker.
Of course, the caretaker knows everything, right?
Right, right. And she reports to us back this hideous stuff. Now, it does sound very dark, and I'm not saying that it doesn't touch on some dark moments, but it is hysterically funny as well.
But it's what you bring to the character, too.
Right.
And the timing and the
Right.
directing.
Right.
And was the author there watching while you were
No,
directing?
he's never seen it. He is going to see it at the end of our run. We were extended. We were supposed to end on July 3rd, and now we're ending on the 24th. And
tell us where that is.
it's at Rogue Machine. It's on Pico, just west of La Brea, about 2 blocks. Catty corner to Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles.
Oh, I know. Is it a 99 seat or 49?
Our theater there is a 99-seat theater there, but we're in the smaller black box, and it's about 35 people.
Well, when this comes to an end, what's next?
Vacation. Cape Cod.
Oh, you go back east. See?
Yes,
You're going
yes,
back
yes,
east.
yes.
Do you stay all summer?
No, just for 2 weeks. We rent a shack that's on a dirt road in the National Forest on a cliff.
Talking about Cape Cod, that's all everyone always says. Well, it's a shack. We're on a dirt
This
road.
is literally a shack, though. It's really a shack. I know those people that sort of,
You know how they talk.
Yes,
they have
yes,
this beautiful wide colonial house.
Right. No, this is a shack. This is the size of this room. It's literally a shack.
When you get back there, did the two of you write? Or are you thinking of writing, you and your husband?
No, I don't write.
You don't
very
write.
much. Well, I actually have started writing since I've been producing a show for writers, which is a great show called Rant and Rave, where we give writers a prompt, a one-word prompt.
I love that.
Oh, you should come and see it.
Where
you should
is
come
that?
and see it. It's at the same theater.
At the Rogue Machine?
Yes, and our show on Monday night is, the prompt is chemicals.
Did they know about it before?
Yes, they know about it. They know about it almost 6 weeks ahead of time. So we get their pieces. We help edit a little bit. Some pieces need very little editing. Some need to be taken along. But we have wonderful poets, wonderful actor, writers, novelists, journalists,
But it sounds
bloggers.
like you've taken over like a directing kind of thing.
In that case, it's a directing, producing. Yes, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you brought something new to us.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Roxanne, for being with us.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Don't go away. We're going to be back with Timur Bekbosunov. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with Kazakh-American tenor Timur Bekbosunov. He's sung on the stages in Disney Hall, the Hollywood Bowl, Long Beach Opera, and with the American Repertory Theater, the Salem Philharmonic, Kansas City Contemporary Art Festival, Music Festival, and the thing that I thought was so fantastic, Santa Cecilia Academy in Rome. Timur is a graduate of NEC, USC, and Cal Arts. Tell us if your whole career started in Kazakhstan.
Well, it's actually very interesting. I started out as a journalist.
In Kazakhstan?
In Kazakhstan. I was covering music festivals. There's a famous competition called Voice of Asia. And it actually involves famous artists, and I was covering them. I never thought I would actually go into this field. You know, my grandmother would sing. She was an amateur singer, and she was accepted to Moscow Conservatory with no entrance exam. Then she became homesick. She went back home and forgot about opera singing and singing in general.
So you had those
I think
pipes.
I inherited those genes, most likely, from my grandmother. So I don't look like her, but...
Well, a little wig and some lipstick, maybe we can do something. I have a friend who wrote a book, Apples Are from Kazakhstan, Christopher Robbins.
Yes, of course.
And it's fantastic. So you could have been a farmer. You could have been selling apples.
Apple juice, right? I mean, absolutely. It's
and
good
in
for
your
you.
show, you use Apples Are from Kazakhstan.
Well, you know, most of the people don't know that apples are from Kazakhstan, and Kazakhstan is the 9th largest country in the world.
But only you would know that because you're a journalist.
Exactly.
It's fantastic, though. This story is beautiful, and then it talks all about Kazakhstan, which is a very rich country, isn't it?
It's a mystical country. In fact, right now I'm doing a large-scale sonic odyssey about Kazakhstan.
The steppe cantata?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Oh,
I wanted to talk about that. But first of all, I wanted to realize and find out how hard was it to break into opera, especially contemporary music, from being a journalist, and you must be older than you look, because if you worked in Kazakhstan.
Well, you know, I started out very early in Kazakhstan. I was actually one of the young heir of journalists, wave of journalists. I was only 14 years old when I was given a job at the first commercial radio station in Kazakhstan, right, you know, after the Soviet Union was out.
Oh, because they had just collapsed, the Soviet Union?
Exactly. And so then my parents told me, why don't you go and study English in the United States? And I applied to this exchange program. I basically passed all the tests. I was assigned to go to Kansas.
This is so bizarre.
Kansas
City. He said he was raised in Kansas City.
Yeah. We shared, you know, Kazakhstan, Kansas shared 2 first letters. So I thought there was a sign in that for us to go there.
That was far out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great place because you do realize that you have to motivate a lot of things to make it happen. People are wonderful, of course, in the fields and the cornfields and all those good things.
Well, you had fields in Kazakhstan too.
We do because, well, it has like steppes and terrain.
Steppes. So that's the next thing you're doing. Is it folk music?
It's the silent step cantata, actually, because of my specialty as a contemporary opera singer. I love doing and working with contemporary composers. And so American composer Anne Barron, who is actually lives here in Los Angeles, who has composed music for Washington National Symphony. She got interested in the music of Kazakhstan and national orchestra.
So is it folk music that she's written?
She's written, no, it's contemporary music by a female composer who was allowed to go to Kazakhstan, which is somewhat Muslim country, and write for ethnic instruments. It's unheard of. It's groundbreaking, and I happen to sing the title role in it, of course.
Of course. Why else would you have? But there's a children's chorus as well?
There's a wonderful children's choir. They're the winners of the World Choir Olympics. And they're really phenomenal. The children age from 8 to 14. The project is sponsored through City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs.
You've won a lot of those grants from the City of Los Angeles. They're pretty sharp to find you and to pick you.
I'm only being grateful.
Yeah, that's great.
And CSC Arts Link and for New York, of course, have been really in support of us.
Is this different? And you're wearing a costume. I don't. You don't
Normally,
walk the street like this, do you?
I don't walk like that. No, I only drive like that. Or I clean the house. I don't know.
But you usually don't go to a TV interview
I
like
get
that.
different gigs, whatever they ask me to wear, I do.
Tell us what it was for.
Well,
was this the Red Cat one?
Yeah, this was actually, and recently I just did this at the Allowed series, Lynn Steinman, the curator.
At the library.
Yes.
There's a series, and they have a beautiful little auditorium. And Louise Steinman books all the people who come in.
John Waters was right before me, and I always tell everyone, we were in the same series with John Waters. Well, he's a fan.
Well, John Waters was on the show, so you're behind him again.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's crazy. But anyway, this particular costume was inspired by Russian constructivism.
Oh, yes.
When we were creating a film, Autumn, with the Peruvian filmmaker Sandra Powers.
Oh, you work with her a lot.
I do. She's so marvelous. I mean, she's kind of taking her chances at...
So is this the Dime Museum?
Yes.
This is the costume from the Dime Museum. Okay, tell us about that.
Okay, the Dime Museum is this operatic vaudeville with bohemian attitude. And what we do is we take songs that are familiar to some audiences. We take songs that are originals. For example, Christian Hoffman songs that he wrote for Klaus Nomi. You remember that crazy countertenor? Well, Christian Hoffman also got so inspired by our group, he said, you can use any of the songs, and why don't you sing songs that Klaus Nomi did? And actually, the Dime Museum is all about that, taking songs by Radiohead, Nine Inch Nails, Klaus Nomi, and interpreting them in a new way.
Oh, and you interpret it in a new way, but I heard the accordion.
Group has accordion. We're all acoustic, so that's why it's so fresh. People come after the concert and say, "My gosh, you sound so amazing."
The music was great. I know.
Where do you have drums? Well, so we'll have no drums, unfortunately.
There's
no electric guitars, nothing. But people don't even notice that they don't have the need for it, and that's the exciting thing because it's so human.
That's really interesting because I thought I heard everything in it. And then what does Sandra Powers do? Did she film it, or did she?
Sandra Powers, yes. Well, for the group, she's actually our art director.
Oh, I see.
And this costume was actually designed by two costume designers. One of them is Emmy Award-winning designer Jacqueline Saint Anne, and the other one is Fabiola Munoz. And they took the sketches by Marhold and they kind of dissected them and then created this really, really crazy costume.
And they sewed it. They also.
You can see this little diamonds right here, of course. They're real stuff.
And it looks like it's not so.
Oh yeah,
it's easy, huh?
Yeah, I have 4 costumes in my show that I changed, and my bandmates, they put up with me so much because they're musicians, and I'm the singer. Yeah.
But tell us about Rosanna Gamson.
Rosanna Gamson, yes, that was a great project.
Right?
Yes, it was a collaboration between Polish theater Korea ensemble, and they are disciples of Grotowski. They're renowned theater, and then Rosanna Gamson is also this experimental dancer choreographer here in Los Angeles, and this project was about basically horses. And you will ask, why horses? Well, the horses were destroyed during the World War II, and Nazi, the Third Reich has attempted to recreate the perfect horse for Führer. And they succeeded in recreating and duplicating, but they could not pass the DNA. And that's really interesting.
Very
Once something goes
interesting.
extinct, no matter what you do,
You
can't
can't pass
really-
it off.
You
right.
can't pass it off. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And that was the project about. Yeah.
And you're a tenor with a great voice. I mean, you've worked on all these stages that we talked about before with Esa-Pekka and with Thomas Addis and Tobias Picker.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of being in a complete opera? Because these are usually just separate,
Yeah.
what do they call them, concert pieces.
Concert pieces, yeah. With contemporary music in generally, you go from composer to composer.
Oh,
You know,
that's it?
you work with, unless they write an opera production, and sometimes I get a chance to do that as often as I can.
Well, Philip Glass, contemporary
Of course,
opera.
absolutely. And in fact, you know, Long Beach Opera, we did several productions there, and I was lucky with them. With Santa Cecilia Academy, which was a great honor for me to be there, and it's one of the oldest Italian musical institutes, one of the first
I know,
ones.
it was
you
so
know.
great, yeah.
And for me to be there with the Silvano Bussotti, an Italian composer who was this avant-garde composer who studied with everyone, including Berio, and he was himself a director of Teatro Le Fenici, invited me to be part of his opera production called Silvano, which was kind of autobiographical about himself, and I played the role of the young Silvano.
You just talked about somebody, and I forgot what I was going to say about it because it was such a great thought. But you've also been in contemporary bands like Divochka.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, okay, Divochka.
Dresden Dolls
yeah,
and Flutter.
Absolutely. Divochka, you might know them as musicians behind the film Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
they're the one who wrote music, and
were you in that movie too?
No,
or
I
they
wasn't,
were?
unfortunately, but I should have been.
That's what I
Didn't get the
like.
phone call right. But what happens? I was booked. That's what I usually tell people. Divochka were involved in a festival called In the Shadow of Stalin. It was music of composers, and so they said, "Hey, we're just guys from Colorado. We don't know anything about it, but they have a Russian name for their band called Divochka, and they're, you know, of course, well known, established." And so I got a phone call because at that time I was doing another piece with the symphony by Schnittke, and in his chamber symphony. And so they said, "Hey, Timur, can you come and, you know, do songs with this band?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I will." And that kind of started off my own interest in crossing over, because right now we are in the field of music, contemporary music, where it's very eclectic, it's very colorful, and where we...
But you've been more in like a conservative, even though it's contemporary, it's a little more conservative, I guess, than these bands, right?
Sure. I mean, I think we call it like a hardcore contemporary music. But at the same time, you know, when you get a chance to sing with those bands, you just realize that you can learn so much about your own discipline that you were trained of, and it teaches you to be more open-minded and expand the framework of thought.
And so that happened with Dresden Dolls, and
that
also
happened
with Flutter.
Yeah, Flutter, of course, and now, I mean, of course, I'm working with a couple other songwriters. Sondre Lerche, he's the Swedish rock star, and he's fantastic. And I still do opera, but I always ask all my friends, songwriters, to write songs for me because, you know, I don't write them, but I can definitely interpret them in an interesting and conventional, slightly weird way, which is
slightly weird. But what instrument do you play?
Well, I don't play anything.
You don't play anything?
I might bang on something. I might play toy piano. That's
but you're
the
the actor.
I am the actor. I am the singer. I am, and with my group Timur and the Dionysian that we're doing, is that exactly because we have so many other, you know, instruments there. You know, cello, we got viola, violin, accordion, ground bass, guitars, toy piano. That sometimes I don't even need to do anything but the theatrical element, and that's what I try to bring.
So what we're going to do is look for you.
Absolutely, and buy our CD, absolutely.
Oh, your CD, right. I'm sorry, I'm going to hold it up.
That's right there.
Thanks
but this
for
is your
coming.
Copy. Absolutely.
I'm so happy to
pleasure.
finally meet you after all this time. And keep writing, JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. and 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.